In this video, I'm going to talk you through how you can add the Sproket Accordion web part to a page. The Sproket Accordion web part is best known for its FAQ type format and the ability to simply display information in a collapsible format like below. So I've added one in here as an example, and I'm now going to talk you through how I would add this from scratch. So first, what I need to do is come to the page that I want to add the accordion to and click on edit on the right hand side. I'm now in the edit mode of the page, and when I hover over the section that I want to add, I get this plus symbol. What I can now do is search for Sproket, and this is going to show me all the Sproket web parts that are available for me to add. So the first one here is accordion. I could have also searched for accordion and found the same web part. So I've now added it to my page, and I can come in here and I need to edit the web part. So I can do so by clicking on this pencil, or I can also click on configure web part. Both of these options will now give me a panel on the right hand side of my screen to start configuring the web part. So there's 2 pages of these web part settings, so one of 2. Page 1 is where I can start to toggle on some little settings, versus page 2 is where I can start to add my FAQs manually in here. So coming back to the first page, so there's a couple of display options. So the ability to show the title, so you can see in here by default the title is accordion. However, in my example below, I've highlighted that and changed that to FAQs. So highlighting the text, and then I can simply type, say, frequently asked questions. So I can simply change my title by highlighting the text. However, if I don't want a title, this is where I can deselect the show title, and it now no longer shows. So that's an option there. Another option in here is this show in panel. So when I click on that, it puts a really faint border, grey border around in here in a panel and provides a solid white color in the web part below. So where you can see that come into effect is if I was to edit my section and put a solid color in the background, that's where you can see that I've got the white background and those FAQs are easily available and easily that you can read them easily. So that's a bit about the panel. So I'll just come back into here. So I've gone through how to show the title and show in a panel. And then what we have is this type. So there's 2 different ways that I can start to add FAQs. So one is manual. And what that means is I come in and click on next, and I can manually click add to start building up my accordion items or my FAQs. So clicking on add I have to fill out the title and a body. So this is where you can see my first question. I said, how do I change the web part title? So I've given it a title and then a body. You can edit the web part and toggle on and off the title. So that's an example there. And then you can click on add and start adding as many questions as you like. So what does the panel setting do? Come in here and you can then say displays a grey border and solid white background. So adding in a couple of questions there. I can use the arrows to move them up and down, and I can also use the X to remove them if I no longer want them. So that's how I would add them manually. And you can see here on the left-hand side that my changes are happening automatically on the page for me as a preview. So I click on back. Now it's where these settings below can come into play. So one of the options that's on by default is to show the first item expanded. So by default, the first question will be open, and I can then collapse and open secondary questions. If I did want it to appear like this one below, that it's just a flat questions and no answers expanded, that's where I can deselect that and have them all closed by default. Another setting I have in here is to allow multiple to be expanded at the same time. So if I turn that on, what that means is I can actually come in here and open all of these at the same time. So it's just going to open up each question. If I turn that off, then I can only ever open one question at a time, which will automatically close the previous question that was open. So that's what that setting does. I also have this option to show and expand all. So what that allows me to do is it gives me this top expand all button, and I can close on and off if I wanted to. So that's what that setting does. So that's all the settings in the accordion web part, but the other type of way that I can add FAQ or accordion items is this list option. So I'll do this for this top section. So I'm going to come in here to say list. And what this does is it gives me this option to say go to list. So what's happening here in the background, it's gone and created a SharePoint list in the current site that I'm in called FAQ. It gives me the ability to go in and add a title, an answer. It provides me the option to mark FAQs as active. So if I wanted to go in and mark them as inactive, they will then remove from the page, but they'll always be here for me to reuse later on if I need to. And lastly, I've got the sort order to provide the order that I want these to appear in. So this list is currently blank, so I can now click on new on the top left-hand side in the command bar and provide my title and answer. So I can say, yep, this is an example answer in here. You'll see by default active is on, and this is my first question, so I'm going to give it number 1. I can then say save, and that's added my first FAQ into here. I'll just add one more, click on new. I can say this is a test question 2, test answer 2, keep it as active, and this is sort order 2. And I can then click on save. So now if I return to my accordion page, so I can come in here to this accordion page that I was working on earlier, you can now see that I have those 2 example items in here that's coming from that list. So some benefits of both. So the manual one just means that you come straight to a page and just add them directly in the web part versus the list. If people are unfamiliar with how to edit pages and edit web parts, you can provide them with the ability to manage them all directly via the list and using that form type experience. So that is how you would configure the accordion web part.